Unlock the savings at Boost Mobile and save up to $600 a year. I've been scouting these big carriers for a minute now, and I've seen them pull the same play 1,000 times. They promise you the world, then hit you with a price hike right when the game gets tight. But Boost Mobile, their $25 a month unlimited wireless plan is the most consistent player on the floor. No contracts, no price hikes. Unlock the savings today at boostmobile.com/unlock. Based on average annual single line payment of AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile customers compared to 12 months on the Boost Mobile unlimited wireless plan as of January 2026. For full offer details, visit boostmobile.com.
People are building things here in America again, and this moment calls for the best of America, our people. Introducing America's Workforce Academy, built by Meta, a program helping to train the next generation of welders, fiber installers, crew leaders, and more. Paid training, a job, and a path to America's future. Because the future is for everyone. Learn more at meta.com/America's Workforce Academy.
It's Saturday, 27th of June. I'm Jamie East, and this was a week that saw Keir Starmer announce his resignation, Iran and the US get peace talks underway, Europe sweltering under a heat dome, and tributes to music mogul Clive Davis. Grab a cup of something hot, put up your feet, and get up to speed on the 7 biggest stories of the week. This is the Standout 7 from the Smart 7.
It's news,
But not the news. Monday saw Sir Keir Starmer step down as leader of the Labour Party and Prime Minister.
Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party.
It became clear across the weekend that the Prime Minister had lost the confidence of the party, and many of his cabinet and the imminent arrival of Andy Burnham left Starmer with few options. He was keen to highlight his achievements in the 2 years he led the country, counting an improving economy, support for Ukraine, and changing the Labour Party for good. He said he'd spoken to the King and expected that if there was a leadership contest, he would serve until September. It's still not clear whether there will be a contest, with West Streeting signalling his support for Labour's newest MP Andy Burnham, who was sworn in on Monday afternoon.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, his heirs and successors, according to law.
There were tributes for Sir Keir Starmer from a wide range of allies, including Australian PM Anthony Albanese, EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and Ukrainian President Zelensky. The reaction from the opposition, however, was less complimentary, with Nigel Farage calling Starmer the most incompetent Prime Minister the UK has ever had, a statement that must have delighted Liz Truss. Reform's Robert Jenrick was busy in the Commons starting the attacks on Andy Burnham before he even landed the job at number 10.
If the member for Makerfield wants to hike taxes even more and to max out our national credit card, he should call a general election.
Burnham has plenty of Commons experience. He previously served as MP for Leave for 16 years from 2001 and held cabinet positions including Secretary of State for Health under Gordon Brown. Labour MP Polly Billington was keen to talk up Burnham's credentials.
If he does become Prime Minister, he will be one of the most experienced Prime Ministers we have had in a very long time. He first became a Member of Parliament in 2001 when some of my colleagues were still in primary school.
Outgoing Prime Minister Keir Starmer was back at work on Tuesday. He hosted a cabinet meeting in which he laid out his plan to have an orderly transition of power, which will see the PM work through his to-do list before handing over the keys to Andy Burnham. Top of the list of the difficult issues that Starmer is intending to tackle is the controversial Defence Investment Plan, which has already seen the resignation of Defence Secretary John Healey. Tory leader Kemi Badenoch, who hasn't got a great track record in elections, was already criticising what she says is Labour's inability to govern.
Winning elections is not the same thing as running the country. We have so many people who think winning the election is everything, and they talk who can win. We are electioned out. Local elections, by-elections. People are spending all their time campaigning. They cannot govern.
Starmer and Burnham met on Tuesday for a meeting that was described as frosty, but the PM plans to do everything he can to make for a smooth handover, and Labour peer Baroness Hodge says that's essential.
And I think the country doesn't want us to spend time looking inwards. So on balance, I'd rather get on quickly, get a change of government, a new team put in place as soon as possible.
Wednesday set new records for temperatures as the heat dome continues to linger across Europe, and tempers were certainly heating up in the Commons as the news of Prime Minister Keir Starmer's impending departure got the opposition hot under the collar. Tory leader Kemi Badenoch launched into a series of extraordinary attacks on Starmer's cabinet and the Labour Party.
Some of his cabinet have been loyal. loyal and incompetent. Hands up if you think the Education Secretary is doing a good job. It turns out appointing a spiteful class warrior as Education Secretary was a disaster.
She also memorably referred to Andy Burnham as a pair of eyelashes and a black T-shirt, a remark that would certainly sound sexist if the position was reversed. The outgoing PM was keen to ping Badenoch over her party's poor showing in Makerfield in return.
Can I congratulate her? Because in Makerfield, they got 2.2% of the vote. Just edging past Count Binface.
Thursday saw the Labour Party set out the timetable to select a new leader, with nominations opening on the 9th of July. But with no confirmed candidate standing against Andy Burnham, we could see him become the Labour leader and Prime Minister by July 17th. If a contender emerges, we might not see Burnham in number 10 until the end of August. The current Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, was defending his record on Sky News.
In the first 2 years of this government, we made really important progress on immigration. And, one of the tests of an outgoing Prime Minister is whether you leave the country in a better state than you found it. And I am leaving it in a better state.
Chancellor Rachel Reeves had been Keir Starmer's right-hand woman, but she's happy to back the new boss, although it's not clear if she'll retain her role as Chancellor.
I'm backing Andy Burnham to be our next Prime Minister. I've known Andy for, 16, 17 years now. He's a good friend of mine. But any choices for the new Prime Minister will be their choices to make, including who's in the Cabinet.
Burnham has already gotten international coverage, with Donald Trump calling him very liberal, while New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani had a bit more of a nuanced view on 5 Live.
It is at the heart of what people are looking for any kind of politics. So I wish him well. I don't think he's an Arsenal supporter, though.
No, he's an Everton. He's an Everton supporter.
I mean, at least you can respect that someone has suffered. I like it when I meet someone who's a fan of a team that hasn't just won and won and won.
Last weekend saw more chaos and confusion as the peace deal between Iran and the US appeared to be in real trouble. Israel and Hezbollah had exchanged strikes last Friday, which led to Iran cancelling the formal signing of the Memorandum of Agreement, although talks did still go ahead. However, the US president escalated his rhetoric against Iran, threatening the Iranian delegation and suggesting America could take control of the Strait of Hormuz. That led to a short and awkward session with US Vice President Vance and the American team in Geneva, and the talks wrapped up early, although Qatari and Pakistani negotiators issued a statement hailing progress and hinting at new mechanisms to ease the conflict. US Senator Lindsey Graham was calling for Iran to hold back Hezbollah in Lebanon.
And if Iran continues to attack Israel and Lebanon, the new policy will be we'll hit Iran. So to the Iranians, if you're listening, when you use Hezbollah to attack Israel, I think the new policy will be we will attack Iran.
US Democratic Senator John Ossoff gave a frank assessment of the war and Trump's attempts at peace on MSNBC.
This is a disaster for American foreign policy and for the Trump presidency. I mean, folks, remember that it was on day one that Donald Trump assured us it was running ahead of schedule. For weeks, victory always either imminent or just around the corner or already secured.
US Secretary of State Marco Rubio headed to the Middle East on Tuesday on a diplomatic mission to reassure the United States Gulf allies about the proposed peace deal with Iran. Arriving in Abu Dhabi for a series of meetings with Kuwait, the UAE and Bahrain, he was keen to emphasise that the Strait of Hormuz would remain toll-free, despite Iran's claims to the contrary. The two sides also continued to wrangle over what was agreed in terms of nuclear inspections, with President Trump insisting Iran had agreed to inspections at the highest level. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt returned from maternity leave this week, and she was straight back to work defending the boss and the Iran deal on Fox News.
President Trump, I know, will never sign on to a deal that does not serve this country and our national security interests. He is always looking out for America first.
Staying in the Middle East, a new independent report commissioned by the UN has once again accused Israel of committing genocide in the Palestinian territory of Gaza. The Independent International Commission of Inquiry also found that roughly 30% of Palestinians killed over the 2 years between October 2023 and 2025 were children. Many of the 20,000 bodies are missing or believed to be buried in mass graves. Israel has rejected the report, with the Foreign Ministry calling it a libelous sham. But Chris Sidoti, an Australian human rights lawyer and member of the Commission, says the evidence is clear.
There can be no doubt in anyone who reads today's report that every international legal norm has been violated by the actions of the Israeli authorities towards Palestinian children.
US Secretary of State Marco Rubio wrapped up his reassurance tour on Thursday, touching base with America's Gulf allies and offering more detail on the memorandum of agreement with Iran and progress updates on the talks. He also spoke at a meeting of the Gulf's foreign ministers in Bahrain and was keen to reassure those present that any deal with Iran would not come at the expense of the security of America's allies. He was clear also that there's no prospect of Iran being allowed to charge any kind of toll for passage through the crucial Strait of Hormuz.
You can call it a toll, you can call it a fee, whatever you want to call it, it's a game of semantics. The reality of it is that no country on earth has a right to charge for the use of international waterways, and that will never be an acceptable condition.
Venezuela was hit by two devastating earthquakes just moments apart early on Thursday morning. The quakes, measuring 7.2 and 7.5 on the Richter scale, hit the capital Caracas, collapsing multi-storey buildings and damaging the city's international airport, which is now closed. President Delcy Rodriguez has declared a national emergency and rescue crews were working to pull survivors from the rubble, with US President Trump warning of a potentially devastating number of deaths and pledging America's support. One eyewitness, Maria Alexander, spoke to the media after escaping from an apartment building.
When we went downstairs, the scene was like a horror movie. We had to climb over the rubble and everything, and all the neighbors were coming down. But from that building, I only saw one family coming out.
The death toll continued to rise on Friday, with hundreds killed and thousands more injured, while volunteers worked night and day to clear rubble from collapsed multi-storey buildings. Opposition leader in exile, Maria Corina Machado, spoke to Newsmax and said that there is an urgent need for international support.
So there are areas that are currently not being taken care of. A lot of people are trapped under rubble. And this is a moment in which we desperately need international aid.
Countries around the world have dispatched search and rescue teams to help find survivors in the rubble within the first 72 hours, when the chances of survival are highest. The US has dispatched teams, and former US Secretary of State John Kerry says that the US can and should do more.
Well, we can do an enormous amount, and we really have a moral obligation to do so. The President said that we're going to run it, meaning the administration. This is a dire situation.
This week saw two senior political figures in court facing historical charges. Monday saw a Northern Ireland jury find the former leader of the Democratic Unionist Party, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, guilty of 18 counts of sexual abuse, including 1 count of rape. The former MP for Laggan has been on trial for the past 4 weeks alongside his wife, Lady Eleanor Donaldson, who faced a trial of the facts on mental health grounds. She was found guilty on 5 charges but cannot be sentenced. Mr Donaldson will be sentenced in September, with the judge indicating it would be a lengthy one. The two women at the centre of the case cannot be identified for legal reasons, but both took the stand to deliver their testimony, which revealed years of abuse. The current leader of the DUP, Gavin Robinson, called for the former MP to be stripped of his knighthood and his membership of the Privy Council.
Today, our thoughts are first and foremost with those innocent victims whose lives have been impacted and blighted by his predatory and repugnant behaviour. What they have been put through, from the initial abuse through to the impact of having to give evidence, has been wicked.
On Tuesday in Scotland, Peter Murrell, the former chief executive of the SNP, was sentenced for embezzlement. He pled guilty to charges of taking more than £400,000 from party funds over a 12-year period. He used the money to buy cars, watches, kitchenware and even a motorhome, although his now ex-wife, former Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon, has said she was not aware of what her then-husband was up to. Judge Lord Young sentenced Murrell to 5 years and 3 months on Tuesday as his lawyer offered an apology on his client's behalf and said that Murrell faces a bleak and solitary future.
Your actions involved a significant breach of trust to the organisation which you led and to the individual members and donors of that organisation. Because of your position of authority, you were able to circumvent the checks and balances that existed.
Still to come on today's Standout 7, in association with Metro, Europe struggles under a heat dome and tributes to a music industry mogul. Right after this.
Marketers, you know that feeling when your creative clicks? When that social post sends engagement through the roof? When your outside-of-the-box campaign hits ROI positive? When a personalized homepage turns prospects into customers? It's utter marketing bliss. Contentful helps you create tailored omni-channel experiences without working overtime. No stress, no limits, only possibilities. Get the feels at Contentful.com.
Business is booming, but you know what really helped? Xero, the accounting platform for small businesses. I used to think spreadsheets were just part of it. Ugh. But real-time cash flow? Wow. Invoices that chase themselves? Even better. Books that automate? That's a big one. And I can keep track from my phone while I get the job done. No spreadsheet in sight. What a life. Do right by yourself and your business and search Xero for your free trial. Conditions apply.
Welcome back.
The last few weeks have seen a significant shift in Ukraine's momentum over Russia. Last weekend saw Ukraine land another blow on Russia's oil refineries, this time hitting a facility in western Siberia, a stunning 2,000 kilometres from the front lines. Ukraine's long-distance strike capability has been improving, and President Zelensky says that Ukrainian military company Firepoint have developed weapons with a 3,000-kilometre range. The strikes have brought the war into sharp focus for Russia, and combined with Russian forces struggling on the front line, have added to a sense of Ukrainian momentum. Zelensky says this is just the beginning.
These are fully justified responses to Russian strikes against our country. Ukraine's long-range sanctions plan is moving forward. Our mid-range strikes are ongoing. They are having a real impact on Russian military logistics.
Ukraine's long-range strike campaign has proven so effective that Russian President Putin was forced to comment on it on Wednesday. He said that the Ukrainian drones, which were coming in a huge stream, were meant to destabilise Russian society, and he accused the entire West of working for Kiev. Ukraine has also upped its attacks on occupied Crimea with a wave of strikes and special forces activity designed to target critical infrastructure and weaken Russia's grip on the peninsula. NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte says there can be no doubt that the momentum in the war is swinging towards Ukraine.
What we are seeing is that Ukraine is doing well on the battlefield. They are, as we speak, killing and seriously wounding about between 30 and 35,000 Russians a month. And these are, of course, incredible numbers. And this has a huge impact on Russia. We see the Russian economy doing badly at the moment. The Ukrainians being effective in hitting their energy infrastructure, particularly the oil refineries inside Russia.
Thursday saw European leaders meeting Gdansk, Poland for the annual Ukraine Recovery Conference, with French President Macron, German Chancellor Merz and EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen all in attendance. The event saw the first phase of the EU loan for Ukraine, which had been held up by Hungary, finally disbursed with a first payment of €3.2 billion. Von der Leyen hailed Ukraine's determination in turning around what she described as a dark situation.
Today, the outlook is different. Ukraine has made progress on the battlefield. We have strengthened Ukraine's economic foundations. We have advanced its European path. And we have created new opportunities for investment and growth. Ukraine's courage has made this possible. And our solidarity has helped make it a reality.
This week has seen Europe sweltering under a heat dome, which has seen temperatures in France hit 40 degrees as the country has had the hottest June days since records began. The blistering heat has also seen more than 40 deaths from drowning over the last few days as people seek to cool down in rivers and lakes. Friday saw the French government introduce a ban on drinking alcohol in public until the heatwave lifts, as hospitals reported 4 times more cardiac arrests than normal. The UK has also been struggling with a new high of 36.4 degrees recorded in Somerset on Thursday, and the heatwave is expected to continue through the weekend. The Met Office's chief scientist Stephen Belcher says the concern is that the trend for temperatures is even more alarming.
If we continue on this trajectory, if we fast forward these into the future, then we're thinking that by the 2050s, we could see peak heat waves peaking at 45 degrees or so, which is really quite an alarming prospect.
Things got so hot this week that commuters were warned not to take train journeys if they could avoid them, as hospital appointments were cancelled and schools closed early. Appropriately, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres was in London on Tuesday to make a speech at London Climate Action Week, and he took advantage of the temperature spike to hammer home his warning on climate change.
Crisis brings clarity. And here in London, the city of Dickens, climate chaos is accelerating before our eyes. London isn't just calling, it's cooking.
Monday saw the death of music industry giant Clive Davis. Davis, who was 94 years of age, had been suffering with respiratory problems and died at home in New York. He was a hugely influential figure in the world of popular music and is credited with signing and shaping the careers of artists like Aretha Franklin, Bruce Springsteen, Whitney Houston, Christina Aguilera and Alicia Keys. He was a Harvard Law School graduate who joined Columbia Records at 28 and had various roles across the music industry, including Chief Creative Officer of Sony Music. He famously insisted that Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You start with a 40-second a cappella, which has become synonymous with the song. He spoke about his love for music and the struggles he had in his early life back in 2021. Rest in peace, Clive.
I got through school on scholarship. My parents both independently died when I was 18. I had the sum of $4,000 to my name. I got in music by accident. It became my life's passion. I didn't know I had a natural gift.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Before we had AT&T Business Wireless coverage, our delivery GPS wasn't the most reliable. Once our driver had to do a 14-point turn to get back on route. A 14-point turn! An influencer even live-streamed the whole thing. Not good for business. Now with AT&T Business Wireless, routes are updating on the fly and deliveries are on time. And the influencer did get us 53 new followers, though.
AT&T Business Wireless. Connecting changes everything.
Business is booming. But you know what really helped? Zero. The accounting platform for small businesses. I used to think spreadsheets were just part of it. Ugh. But real-time cash flow? Wow. Invoices that chase themselves? Even better. Books that automate? That's a big one. And I can keep track from my phone while I get the job done. No spreadsheet in sight. What a life. Do right by yourself and your business and search XERO for your free trial. Conditions apply.